the excuse that this is just the way that I am. Baby, if that's just the way that you are, then you don't need Jesus. But if Jesus is in your life, it is time to put the excuse down that I'm like this, and my mama like this, and my family like this, and my history like this. Baby, you're a part of a new family. You've been born not once, but you've been born twice. You ought to tell somebody you've been born again. And on this side, we got family reunion t-shirts too. Y'all ain't gonna talk back to me here. And it says that I am new. It says that I am changed. Somebody shout out to transform you. He's in the transforming business. I don't want to stay here long. God, he takes Joshua to a place where he's being transformed. He takes his nation to the place where they're being transformed. It is amazing to me that when you deal with being transformed, sometimes it's like a metamorphosis process. Tell somebody there's a metamorphosis going on in your life. There's a changing that's taking place in your life. When you deal with metamorphosis, we can only go to the caterpillar and deal with the butterfly. You know the caterpillar, he crawls first, goes into a cocoon, then he comes out flying. But he cannot fly without the metamorphosis process. He cannot fly without the cocoon. May I submit to you that you and I must not allow life to stop us from being a metamorphosis process to where God is able to change us. What do you mean, young preacher? Y'all gotta pray for me, because the more I talk, the better I feel. And the better I feel, the more I want to talk. Y'all can't tell I'm speeding up just a little bit here. I feel a preach coming on me, but not just yet. I remember my son one day, I picked him up from school, and he used to be all into insects and things of that nature. And so he grabs a caterpillar, and I'm looking at him crazy, like, what you gonna do with that? He said, I'm gonna take it home, and I'm gonna put it in my little container that I got at the house. And so he takes the caterpillar home. We gets home, and he places it inside of a glass container, and we're sitting there, and the caterpillar is up on the glass wall inside of the container. We ain't paying it no attention. We go to bed that night and wake up that morning, and all of a sudden the caterpillar has developed a cocoon. He's sitting there. His cocoon is developed on the side of the glass. And I look at the caterpillar, and I look at the cocoon, and all of a sudden it dawned on me that the caterpillar was letting me know and letting my son know that it does not matter what you do to me, you can't stop my change. I don't know who I'm preaching to in here, but I don't know where you are in your life, but don't let it stop the change that God is working in you. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they do. I don't care how they think. God is working on you. You ought to tell somebody he's working on me. I'm in my cocoon now. Don't you judge me. It's kind of tight now, but God is working something on the inside that man can't take from me. I wish I had somebody to shout, let him work the process. Let him transform you. Let him change you. And I declare, if you go through the process right, you might be walking now, but you're going to fly after a while. I think you to tell somebody, I may not look like much, but I declare there's a spiritual butterfly in me. You ain't seen all of my colors yet. You ain't seen my best days yet. I ain't wore my best suit yet. I ain't lived in my best house yet. I ain't even drove my best car yet. Tell somebody, you ain't seen the best of me, but there's a butterfly down on the inside, and God is working something in me. Look at neighbor, let him do the work. Let him do the work. Let him do the work. Y'all keep acting like this. We ain't gonna be here long at all. So Joshua, he goes through his metamorphosis process. God allows Joshua and the children of Israel to go through the wilderness, and he begins to grow Joshua. He begins to allow Joshua to experience things. There's something that we can draw from the character of Joshua. Don't miss this. Joshua was a kind of person that was not concerned about position. Don't miss this. He was a person that wasn't concerned about where he was positioned. The Bible talks about a story where the children of Israel were fighting another nation called Amalek, the children of Amalek. And the Bible says that when they fought Amalek, that Moses is on the top of a mountain, and he has Aaron on one side and another man by the name of Hur on the other side, and they're lifting up the arms of Moses on the top of the mountain. But Joshua is down in the valley, and he's fighting Amalek face to face. Joshua could have complained and say, wait a minute, I don't deserve to be here in the valley. I'm supposed to be on the mountain with Moses. But Joshua was the kind of person that wasn't concerned about position, but he was concerned about victory. May I submit to you, you may not have a position. May I submit to you, you may not have a title, but God is teaching you something down in the valley with the devil that you're fighting that's going to control your destiny. Tell your neighbor, don't mind the valley. God will bring you to the mountain after a while. Dreams are made in the valley. Champions are born in the valley. Conquerors are made in the valley. Tell somebody, you ought to shout in your valley. You ought to praise it in your valley. So Joshua's in the valley. Not just yet. He's in the valley. He's fighting. But I found out, to all my Christian folk, that God's the kind of God that normally gives the position to the person that don't want it. David was was given the position to be king, and all he did was watch his daddy's sheep. David ain't trying to be nobody's king, he's just trying to watch my daddy's sheep. And God said, that's the one I want to use. Can I take it a little bit further? Jesus came and Jesus said it like this. He said, listen, I didn't even come to make a reputation of myself. But when he didn't try to make a reputation, God gave him a reputation. I came here to tell somebody that if you don't chase it and chase God, God will make it chase you. I wish I could preach in this house. Oh, I'm going to feel like preaching in here. Y'all better see it. See, we need some people here, Philippians, that ain't concerned about position, but you're concerned about Philippians getting the victory. I wish I could talk. I wish somebody was following the NBA finals. There's a young man from Australia by the name of, I think his name is Matthew, and he plays the guard position, and he really didn't have much of a name, but every time the ball hits the ground, Matthew hits the ground. He ain't concerned about recognition. He ain't LeBron James. He ain't gonna get a triple-double, but baby, he on the team. I just wish I had somebody in here that said, I may not be the bishop, I may not be the pastor, I might can't prophesy, but I declare I'm a part of the team. And when I'm a part of the team, then I control our victory. I got something to do with us overcoming the next trial. Tell your neighbor, you might not be LeBron James, but shoot the ball. You might not be LeBron James, but make the play. You might not be LeBron James, but pray for somebody. You might not be LeBron James, but encourage somebody. You might not be LeBron James. What's that? Somebody. Oh, God, let me see it. So he proves Joshua in the wilderness. He follows Moses. He's not concerned about position. And God knows now that this is my man. Everything that Joshua went through, it prepared him and it made him mentally strong. Somebody shout mentally strong. Mentally strong. He's mentally strong. They somewhat call Joshua, when God raises Joshua up, they call it the Joshua generation. Somebody say Joshua's generation. Oh my God, we're dealing in a day and time where now we're part of that Joshua's generation. Now scripturally speaking, the Joshua generation was everybody that was 20 years old and younger. But New Testament speaking, the Joshua generation is a mindset. What is your mindset? When I'm a part of Joshua's generation, it's the way I think about things. When I look at my trial, I feel like preaching right here. Don't pray for me here. Because when you deal with being a Joshua generation and a Joshua mindset, in the book of Numbers, around Numbers 13, the Bible says that Moses sends out 12 spies. And he sends out 12 spies, but two of the spies, one name is Joshua and the other one name is Caleb. Don't miss that. Joshua generation. When Joshua sees the giant, he sees differently than the other 10 men. The other 10 men, they see the giants and they say, we are like grasshoppers in their eyes, and they will surely destroy us. But Joshua, who depicts the Joshua generation, when he looks at a giant, he don't run from the giant. He runs to the giant. When Joshua sees a giant, he don't say, I can't do it. But Joshua says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I'm not trying to find anybody. I'm trying to find the Joshua generation that say, it don't matter what hell I face in my life, I'll shout in the middle of hell and shout when God bring me out. You ought to tell your neighbor, I'm a part of the Joshua generation. See, this Joshua generation is, you got to be careful because we enter into a day and time where this church ain't going to be your grandmama's church. Y'all going to put me out here today, but I'm going to preach it like I feel. We enter into a day and time where these young folk, they're not based on tradition. They're not moved by your tradition. They're not moved by your antics. We live in a day and time where these young folk, they know real and they want to see real. I don't care how long your dress is. I don't care how cute your hair is. I don't care how good you dress in your three-piece suit, preacher. I want to know if what you say is real. I want to know if the Jesus you serve is real. Tell somebody this is the Joshua generation. God is getting ready to raise up people. Y'all gotta buckle up. Tell your neighbor, slide over because somebody else is coming. You gotta slide over because God is sending some people. And I'm telling you now, they're gonna have tattoos from their head to their toe. They're gonna have the tattoo sleeve on. Y'all ain't gonna talk back to me in here. I told somebody one time we're entering into a day and time when you got to rest up and get ready because tattoos are coming. I ain't got time to worry about how many tattoos you got and to count your tattoos and to examine what you wear and what you put on. I want to know, do you love Jesus? And if you love Jesus, then baby, we can use you. Tell somebody, I want to know, do you love him? Do you love him? Do you love him? And we get to the day and you saw in church on Sunday morning. There's a generation coming. He might have the chopper in his back seat. He got the automatic weapon in his pocket. But I come here to tell you that God is going to take the pistol and give him the word. May I submit to you, there's a generation coming that don't mind shooting somebody, but they want to be saved. There's a generation coming that used to push the door, but they want to be saved. Tell somebody, get ready, get ready. Y'all have a seat here. So he raises. Y'all ain't gonna like this, but I gotta get it. He raises Joshua up. He raises him up. He takes him through transformation. And then Joshua moves into, somebody say transition. Oh, help me here. Transition. It is a passageway. The transition. It is a gateway to the next level. By the time we get to Joshua chapter 1, now Joshua is going through the transformation. Now he's in a place of transition. God is getting ready to transition Joshua. Think about transition. Move from the old house to the new house. Love the new house. Just don't like the transition. Don't like the packing up of everything and moving everything and relocating everything. And so sometimes transition can be rough. Even a woman that's pregnant, she goes through 3 trimesters. And inside of her womb, the trimester sends a signal that the baby is transforming in her womb. But after 9 months, then comes, somebody say, the transition. Sometimes the transition is painful, but it's necessary. What do you mean, Jones? I just come to tell somebody, your problem is God is transitioning you. I know. You done gave too much credit to the devil. You done gave too much credit to those that don't like you. But could it be that God is trying to transition you? Could it be that God is trying to move you? There are indications of a God transition. Somebody shout God transition. I don't want to stay here long, but I want to stay here long enough. If you can remember these, write these down. If not, go ahead on and about to take that. There's about 5 things that will show you that there's a sign of God transitioning in your life. Number 1, you got to have haters. Number 2, you got to have traitors. Number 3, you got to have liars. Number 4, you got to have leeches. And number 5, you got to have a lunatic. I'm gonna stay right there. I'm gonna stay right there, because when you look at the life of David, look at the life of Joseph, and look at the life of Jesus, they all had haters. They even had traitors. David was traded on by his own son Absalom. Jesus was traded in with Judas for 30 pieces of silver. They both were lied on. They all had leeches. You know what a leech is? A leech is the kind of person that draws from you and takes from you and receives from you. And then when you ask them for something, they act like they don't remember what you've done. They act like they can't remember how good you've been. They act like you can't remember that you was there when they were down. Sometimes you run into leeches in your life. Tell your neighbor, God is trying to transition you. You got to have a lunatic in your life. What is a lunatic? The lunatic is when you got somebody in your life that's acting crazy for no reason at all. You scratching your head trying to figure out, what in the world have I done? Why are you acting crazy? I ain't getting nothing but been good to you. You need a lunatic in your life. But tell somebody, those are signs of the transition of God moving in your life. Man, I submit to you that when you go through transition, God has to make it uncomfortable. Oh, stop here for a minute, Jones. I wish I had somebody that was uncomfortable right now in your life. You're uncomfortable with what you're going through. You're uncomfortable with what you're facing. May I submit to you that a sign that God is making a transition in your life is that he puts you in a place where you're uncomfortable. He puts you in a place that is unfamiliar. You ought to tell somebody, I'm uncomfortable, but I feel good because I understand that God is moving me. He can never move you to the next level if you're not made uncomfortable. I don't know how true it is, but some of the commentators said that when the eagle begins to desire for her kids to fly to another level, that sometimes she'll stir the nest. They say she'll put sharp objects in the bottom of the nest. That way that her baby eaglet can't even get comfortable. In other words, the eagle has no other choice but to fly.